Hi, I'm John Goodman, grizzled show business veteran, and you're listening to SmartLess.
SmartLess.
I was almost just a little bit late today because I may have just had like one of my first sessions, definitely first half dozen. I can't count them on one hand the amount of times I've gone on Instagram. You guys familiar with this?
Yes, I've heard of this.
Oh my God, this is so good. This is my dream come true. You describing Instagram.
So I'm watching a video on it, right? It's a small. And
keep going.
Funny stuff is happening. People are falling and hurting themselves.
Yeah.
And then my thumb accidentally hits the screen, and it disappears, goes up, and there's another one right underneath it.
That's right.
It's similar, but then I don't know. So I did it again, and then I'm like, then it's like some sort of a sports thing, and then someone's selling me something. Anyway, I don't think it's Instamatic or instantaneous. I think it's Instagram. I think is what it is.
And you don't usually go on there?
.com, I suppose. What is it?
You don't usually go. What is it?
Can I just? Was that just you? Was that just you describing using Instagram?
Yeah, I think so. You know what I'm talking about. You've been there.
So you really don't.
Well, we're not alone.
You don't usually go on there, Jason.
No, but I get it now. You can sit there, and I did what I thought was going to be 5 minutes, and all of a sudden, my alarm went off to get to the computer to start this. I was like, oh, fuck, good thing I set an alarm.
It's the demise of our whole institution.
It's everything. Now, Sean and I send each other videos that we think are funny.
Yes.
And it's really easy to do, and that's
Would you
a funny
like in
way
on that?
to communicate as
Oh,
well.
so if I see something on Instagram that I like, I could sort of like send that to you?
There's like a
little thing I can click
icon there, and you can hit it, and then if we're all following each other, you can send it to one of us, and then we go like, "Ha, that's so funny because it's true," or whatever.
Right? Or saw it. Thanks, old man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wait, so now we can send you videos, and you'll actually watch them?
Yes, I think I will. I might not. But you know what I don't do is if you send me a video that when I click on it, it says, "Oh, the person whose video this is will know that you are watching it."
Yeah.
Then I don't click on those. What does that mean? Does that mean the person's a private?
Nobody knows what you're looking at unless you like it.
No, like when Amanda sends me something and I got to click, I have to say that they're going to see that it's me.
No, that's just
something.
a phone call.
Oh. Yeah.
I
don't know, but this is, and it's all here on one of these. You guys have one of these phones? This is with the pictures on the front of it?
This is the beginning of the end.
Because I just got rid of the one that closes, it kind of looks like a Pac-Man.
Yeah, by the way, this is our generation equivalent of when our dads used to say, "I saw this thing in the paper today."
Yeah. Or on the TV.
Right. Or on the TV. I mean,
wait, that was a picture of Maple, and I saw her for her birthday.
We saw Maple last night.
Look at that little turd.
Yeah, so
she just turned 12.
I know.
I love her.
Scotty and I got her some beads that she can wear on her wrist, and we got her a little leather-bound thing that she can draw in because she's such a good drawer.
She's incredible.
She's amazing. She's an amazing artist.
And an incredible athlete.
Yes, amazing.
She's so good. She's been kicking ass. They beat another big team. You know that. You were there at the game. Yeah. She told me who they beat the other night. I was like, no way.
No, I know. It's
the
crazy. Did I already bore you guys with the fact
that
it was the Boston Celtics? So she's in 6th grade, and she plays on the boys' team because she's such a badass. Yeah. It's the first time in the history of the school.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That a girl's ever played on the boys' team.
It's so rad.
I know. I love her.
It's so wild, Jason. It's nighttime. It's 7 o'clock. You're getting sleepy or?
I just about, had a long day of work, but this is the highlight of my day. Look at you two, Please don't fuck it up with a shit guest, Arnett. You know what? If this is a terrible guest, let's just end it here.
I can't wait. I'm so glad. I can't wait for you to eat this shit. You're eating these words. You're moments away from eating. You're going to be so embarrassed. You're going to be
fucking better be good.
You're going to bow down to the power of this dude.
Because you want one of these first?
Let's do a dad joke first, and then we're going to make him bow down. One dad joke. Go ahead,
Sean. Too long already.
I can't find my Gone in 60 Seconds DVD. It was here a minute ago.
Okay. All right. So here we go. We've wasted this person's time, and he deserves so much more respect than that.
Well, we'll see.
And
We'll
Jason,
see.
I am so sad because this is a guy who's been doing it for a long time at the highest level. He's been nominated for, I think he's won an Emmy, nominated for 7 times, Golden Globe nominated 4 times. Like he's been just nominated and won
just
everything.
Apologize
okay?
now. I'll just start with an apology.
No, because you're going to eat shit. But more than that, because I don't even want to get into his credits because they're all the greatest, funniest, amazing movies. Not just funny, but dramatic, but like really.
I can tell you're
for me,
fired up,
such
too.
a
It's making me
huge
very nervous.
influence on my life.
Yeah.
And you guys know because I have on the show used him consistently as the gold standard. I talk about people being okay, being in bad movies, but always being good. And he is always my example, as you guys know, of the guy who's never turned in a bad performance ever.
But he's
For
been
me,
in a
he's the
lot of
gold
bad
standard.
movies. We got
and
it.
one of the things that I love about him most that he and I have in common is that. Is the line when he said, "You guys lost to a bunch of fucking nerds." Guys, it's the all-time champ for me. It's John Goodman.
Oh! I'm so sorry, Mr. Goodman.
Hiya, fellas.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
I can't follow that.
That's
Johnny Goodman.
Well done,
Mr.
Will.
John Goodman.
By the way, every word he just said is true. Every single thing you've ever done is phenomenal.
I agree.
Every performance.
It's
There's not a dud in the... It's true.
Yeah.
And always associated with good
He does
people.
reference you quite a bit as the bar to jump over.
Yeah.
It is true. John, at risk of embarrassing you further, what a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for coming and doing this and joining us.
No, my pleasure. Thank you. It's America's favorite podcast. Thank you for welcoming me into your pod.
Yeah. This is cool.
Well, I do use that you often, and I'm sorry, again, at risk of embarrassing you, as the sort of the gold standard of someone who's always good and never turns in a bad performance. And I've been such a fan of yours for such a long time, and you've done so many different things, and you've done comedy you've done sitcoms, multiple really fantastic sitcoms, like the old school standard, like multicams, like with an audience that is just, and to do that, pull it off well. Sorry, Sean. To pull it off well.
It's the best job in the world.
It's the best job in the world. But then you've had an incredible career in film, but you started in theater. Is where I'm driving at.
Oh, here comes Sean. Here it
always
comes now.
does.
This is
As it
where
always
Will and I
does.
just sit back.
So I want to hear about what
wait.
that start was like for you, Mr. Goodman, because I don't know the story and how you got and what your journey was.
I had nowhere else to go.
Excellent. Next question.
I sabotaged my own education. The only time I got lit up was doing plays, and I decided to make that my major since I was inches from being thrown out of school.
Really?
And everything took off after that. And as soon as I found out how wonderful it can be, then I started to want to learn history, English, whatever I needed to pull out of my bag of tricks when performing a role.
Oh, wow. So that you could stay in school and stay a part of the theater department.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty
cool. I've never heard
where
that
was that? Where was that? So you were in school? Were you in Missouri? Is that right?
It was called Southwest Missouri State University. Now it's called Missouri State University.
But then you moved to New York. Is that true? Is that how that
That
went?
is true. That took the Amtrak from St. Louis to New York in August of 1975.
Holy shit! And did you have a destination other than the city? Were you like, I'm gonna go do this? Or were you just like, I'm rolling the dice here?
I was a frightened hick. The main thing I wanted to do was take classes with Uta Hagen and get into the actor's studio and learn some more.
And did you get in there?
I did not. I left about a month and a half later doing a dinner theater, non-equity dinner theater version of 1776.
What dinner theater?
The La Comedia Dinner Playhouse in Springboro, Ohio.
I worked at Pheasant Run Dinner Theater in St. Charles, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I just found out Ben Stiller's parents did summer stock there.
Oh, all right, right, yeah.
Summer chicken stock. I guess, because it's dinner
There
theater.
we go.
Hey, guys.
So dinner theater is what it sounds like, correct? You sit
Yes, it
there,
is.
you're at your tables, and they serve you the whole thing while the play's going on, and the actors
How dare
are,
they
are-
make noise?
Well, I was just gonna say.
Oh, you got
so-
the glasses clinking, the forks
Yeah,
going.
and the fucking
People getting lit.
Yeah, getting lit and whistling the waiter over because the shit's not right. And
Yeah. And they put the tables right up to the edge of the stage. So then
They sure do.
and I was playing Tommy Gillis in The Music Man, and I was doing something, fell right on top of one of the tables, and I had to keep going. It was so ridiculous. I swear to God.
just living your dream with a bunch of pasta sauce in your pants, huh?
This is my Buddy Hackett move.
I mean, and was there ever a time where you're on stage and you're like, oh man, that smells pretty good down there? They got a prime rib.
I couldn't get hired for their next shows, but my girlfriend did. So I went down there just to get out of New York and work as a waiter in the dinner theater. Wow. For the summer, but I cut the grass. I did all kinds of odd jobs and made enough money to pay off my student loans that summer.
Sorry, Sean. So New York was a total wipeout, and so
No.
you.
Not at all. I just I left. It was a horrible winter.
Yeah.
And I was broke, and I couldn't get arrested as a waiter or anything else. I got one night's work as a bouncer in a club called the Adam's Apple, and they had this German head bouncer who was telling us how to rip guys' mouths open when you got their head down in the curve, and then you stomp the back of their head and their teeth come out.
Sure.
I check, please. Yeah, I didn't show up the next night.
So then, where did you go at then?
Yeah, that's the only job I had in the city.
So then it does sound like New York was it wasn't really bearing a lot of fruit.
It was also at the time it was Ford to city drop dead. They were defaulting on their loans. The city was just going to hell. The subways were terrifying. The graffiti, all the stuff.
Yeah.
And I was a kid from the suburbs.
Yeah.
Right.
But I was determined to live there because I dug it.
Yeah.
Right.
But did you? So you left for a little bit, went to Ohio, and then you came back to New
Yeah,
York.
I came back, and then
Yeah.
I got my card about like a month after that.
Your equity card or SAG card?
Yeah, my equity card doing a bus and truck of the robber bridegroom.
Oh my God, that is so.
And
I
so,
know
how
that-
old were you? You were about 20.
What, 20? Yeah, 23, 24.
Any other options available to you at that moment, either practically or just sort of emotionally? Like, were you attracted to anything else? Could you have taken a fork in the road and been something else at that
No.
moment? No,
I had,
okay.
the way I look back on it now, it unfolds itself like it was a calling.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to get kicked out of, when I get kicked out of a class, they'd send me to the library, and I would sit there and read plays. And I'm like, 14, 15 years old. I have no idea why.
Yeah.
Was anybody in your family doing that? Like,
No.
no?
No, my brother was a fan of theater. He's a bit older than me, and we'd go into Clayton, Missouri, and pick up the New York Times every Sunday. Literally, it weighed a ton back then. And I would go to the Arts and Leisures and basically to look at the Hirschfield cartoons, and then I'd just start following what shows were up. I had no idea why.
You just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Why were you getting kicked out of class? Were you just running your mouth and you wanted to perform and get attention?
I had to have attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Learning was bad, attention good.
Yeah, I had the same problem. So then, John, so then New York, you stuck it out there, and things really started to pick up traction, or was the big break out in Los Angeles or somewhere in between?
I had a series of little breaks. When I got back from the tour, I had a bunch of pictures, resumes, stapled them all together, and in desperation, I was sending them out to theaters. One guy at Great Advertising picked up my picture, called me in. I got the gig, and he set me up with commercial agents. And then I couldn't not get them for some reason. I've been goofing off
start
them.
making money on
I've been
those.
goofing on them my whole life.
Well, it's also kind of like I speak on behalf of the four of us. If you can't do anything else, you have to make this work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I
and
mean?
You
Like-
got to pay the bills at least.
Yeah. So
But
it was probably
by that time, I was hanging out with a lot of like real actors at a place up on the west side, and I got to hate myself for doing commercials. I was all screwed up, and I was really getting into drinking at the time. And I resented doing commercials because other guys were doing what I thought was real work.
Right.
So I didn't care. I think that's why I got so many of them.
Right.
And I got a lot of them.
And in defense of commercials, I do like commercials. I think Stanley Kubrick said they're the only form of the medium where you can actually acquire perfection because they're just 30 seconds. And they're very intricately made nowadays, especially.
The lighting alone, man, would take forever to set up, and it had to be just right, and the product just right, and
John, you had what Jason, you were getting so many, what Jason likes to call, you had at that time, it seems to me, you had a sexy indifference. You didn't care. You didn't go in there. You didn't want it too bad. And then you just kept getting him. And I know that feeling that, especially when you're younger, I remember thinking like, man, I'm not going to read for, and my first agent being like, it's pilot season, you're going to read for some sitcoms. I'm like, sitcoms?
Yeah.
How dare you?
yeah.
Are you out of your mind? I'll never
sorry,
do-
I'm an artist.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden I'm like so broken. I'm like, fuck, I'll read for anything, please. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what though? Roseanne was so like so theater. It was a lot of sitcoms don't feel like theater, and a lot of them do, which is what they should feel like. And Roseanne, to me, anytime I watched it, it was like, oh, I'm in New York watching a play
that's
every
true.
single
That's a good
time.
point. Yeah.
It was different for the time because the antidote to a lot of things like Dallas and Dynasty and all these rich folk things, and I think we hit a nerve. I know my nerves were
God,
beat.
does it go that far back? When was what was the year of the pilot?
1987, I think the pilot.
Holy shit. I think I graduated or tried to graduate high school that year.
I wanted to get to Roseanne because I really think, I mean, when you guys were doing it at its best, it was just unrivaled. I watched it every week. I was such a massive fan of what you guys did, all the work, the writing, everything about it. I thought was so good. Yeah. How did that come into your orbit, John, at the time? Where were you at when that came around and you read that?
I was out here for something.
In L.A.?
It was either a movie or a commercial. And I got hip and rented a Corvette. I thought I was hot shit. I had a couple of bucks, and I remember going to the audition in that Corvette. And I walked in. I didn't know much about her. I'd seen her in some Pizza Hut commercials. I've seen a couple of clips, and she was really good, like on the Carson show. Yeah. And I walked in, and it was very friendly, and I read, and I knew I had the gig.
Yeah.
I just
Did you want that gig?
Yeah.
Where were you? Where were you in your career at that?
I was living
point?
out of suitcases all the time because I was just starting to get films.
Yeah.
Like starting in 1985, I was booking a lot of movies.
That was after Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, that was shot in '83.
Yeah.
When did you start your incredible collaboration with the Coen Brothers? Was that during the run of Roseanne, or was it after?
No, it's before. It was in 1985.
Oh wow!
I just got a lead in a film that David Byrne directed.
Really?
Yeah, it was called True Stories. It's really interesting looking.
Oh yeah. Fuck, I want to see that.
And I was just really getting, I'd show up. I'd go to dailies because I wanted to. And
What when you were working with the Coens or with
no,
David Byrne?
just before that with David Byrne, and I was really getting into films. I wasn't as scared as I was.
Yeah.
And I got called. I was in New York on a week off or something. Anyway, I was in New York. They called me in for Raising Arizona, and we just sat down and goofed around for about an hour.
Really?
That was the audition, and then I read and
I
left.
bet you felt like you got it.
No,
after.
I didn't know, but I'd
But
never
you
had
sit in an office for an hour, like you gotta feel like you got something.
I never had a more fun audition before or since. We just sat and goofed around. Yeah, I was going to say we were on the same level humor-wise, but those guys are geniuses.
Yeah, they are.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, but I can't imagine. Well, yes, I can imagine. I was going to say that. Did they let you contribute once you got in there and really started? I mean, that character is so specific, John. I mean, what an incredible job you did with that character. I have to assume that you augmented that dialogue a little bit, or no? They're pretty specific, right? Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to augment any better than they wrote it.
Wow.
We had rehearsal time on Lebowski.
Yeah.
So by the time we shot, we were in pretty good shape with the dialogue, and that's why a lot of people ask me if it was
It's
improvised.
just so conversational. Yeah.
Because we were facile with it.
Yeah.
What was that process like making that? I mean, The Big Lebowski obviously is held up as one of the
that's
all-time greats.
One of my
It was
faves.
just lovely. Man, it's just a great time, great hang.
Do you remember reading that script the first time?
Yeah.
And did you know Steve and Jeff beforehand, or
No.
was the chemistry just great luck?
Great luck.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Kismet, man. Yeah, everybody hit it off.
So you read that, they send you that script, and you're like, what? You're like, holy shit.
Did they write it for you? I bet they did.
Oh, Lebowski, yeah.
Yeah.
That and Barton Fink,
Yeah.
and the last one I did for him.
Which was the last one?
Inside Llewyn Davis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful movie.
A little bit more of a serious turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. Talk about that. I mean, think about the breadth of characters that you played with them at the helm as writers, directors, and all with such different tones too. What is that shift like? That dynamic working with them on films that have such a hugely, vastly different tone to them.
Yeah, they're such film fans and magpies for popular culture. They're just throwing in everything, and it works. They've got great ears for people's dialogue, for human speech.
Will worked with Barry Sonnenfeld.
I was about to bring up
bit.
Barry, so
Yeah.
I was
Barry,
I
love Barry.
I'm
Yeah.
friends with. We've had him on the show, and I've been friends with Barry for a number of years, and I worked with him a couple of times, and he's. You obviously worked with him on a bunch of great films, Jay. You mentioned, I mean, and also very different. Raising Arizona, Miller's Crossing were both Barry films. Again, so totally different from the script and the way they looked.
Yeah.
And fantastic. He talked about his first. What was his first?
Blood Simple.
Yeah. Blood Simple.
Blood
Simple was their
Simple.
first,
Yeah.
yeah. And he claims that they hired him because he had a camera.
Yeah,
stop.
I believe that. But they back then they were broke, and they would just know what they wanted, and they'd invent ways to do it. Like these guys from the 20s, if they had a problem, they'd solve it and strap a camera on a board and run with it.
And did you see that progression? Have you seen that evolution? Because you've been with them for so long, and they might say the same about you. The evolution of them as filmmakers from Raising Arizona to Llewyn Davis. I mean, it must be pretty significant.
Yeah, more of a shortcut than anything else.
Right.
The more experience they get, the easier it
The
gets.
less they need to say. Yeah.
Yeah. John, moving forward in your career and your life, do you still have the fire in your belly that you had when you were a kid to just kind of pursue, keep going, challenging yourself?
It's much different now.
Yeah, in what way?
Because I feel like I'm still learning. The last couple of years have been goofy for me because I've been trying to be good, and it doesn't work that way. Planning things way too much, and at the root of that was the fear of losing trust in myself. So I overcompensated by working way too hard, and I've just kind of come out of that in the last year or so. And there's so much to learn.
Yeah. How did you manage to come out of that?
Practically having a nervous breakdown. No, it was bad with everything, and it just finally, it just purged out of me when I went to the therapist one day, and then for the rest of the day it was horrible. Nothing worked. Everything. I woke up the next day and Da, 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 da. Little cherubs danced around my head, but it just felt a lot better. It just, you got to be relaxed when you do stuff and open and listen.
Yes.
Do you find that? I'm finding that the older I get, the smarter I get, the smarter we all get, but with the added intelligence or observational skills, what comes the burden of trying to manage all of the new stuff that you're absorbing and learning, and it's
there's something brilliant about staying ignorant.
Yeah, it just keeps complicating stuff and making things more dynamic and more fun, but it's more of a challenge, and you got to keep up.
You have to be ready to listen to yourself. You have to be relaxed.
Hard.
For me, that was the key. I already know this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I didn't trust myself about.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make it to Stella Adler. I didn't make it to Uta Hagen. I got into the studio, but I've never been there. And I just didn't have I felt I didn't have a base for everything. And it finally dawned on me, I know this stuff. Yeah. Man, I've been doing this for 50 years. It's like, you know it. And it's there if you listen for it. If you let it come to you, it's boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Did it start to feel like maybe you weren't doing anything, and then you realized, well, that's because I'm just natural at it, and I do know all this stuff. And I've just found sometimes if I'm so comfortable in a character, I can sometimes feel like, oh, I'm just kind of phoning this in. I'm just walking this through. And then you feel like, oh, then maybe I should play this scene a little. I should act a little harder, And then it feels like, well, now I'm really working today. Mm-hmm. But then you might watch playback or just even hear your own voice and be like, no, God, this isn't working. This feels like shit. And then you go back to just doing it normally, and it's like, no, that's great. That's fine. I know this stuff, and you just happen to be natural at it. I wonder if that's how athletes feel when they're just playing, they're just in it,
That's what it is, just play.
Yeah.
And listening.
Do you find as you're changing as a person that it changes the kinds of roles that you look to do, since what we do is kind of an exercise in personal exploration we happen to get paid for?
I don't know. I've been doing the same role for the last two
no, you
roles
haven't.
for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And I haven't really had much of a chance to do everything else.
Because you've been doing the Connors. You're talking about the Connors.
Yeah, Connors and the Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah. It's also, John, it's also wild to hear you talk about whether I've read about stuff that you've been struggling with, and you're so nice to be open about your journey, just being more comfortable in your own skin and getting to know yourself, as Jason said, as we get older, that it's always so surprising, and it's never not surprising to look at you, somebody I've always admired, and is like, wow, that's such a cool career. I'd love to have his career. Amazing actor, everything he does. To hear somebody like you speak publicly about whatever your issue is, whatever you're going through, is really kind of eye-opening, because from over here, it's like, oh, he's got this career of a lifetime, and it's always so surprising, and it shouldn't be. Because
and it's also so helpful to me, because I the same goes for me as far as my admiration for you. But it makes me feel a lot better about all the human feelings I have that are sometimes challenging. It's like, I don't know, it's silly that we all need a reminder that everybody's human, but it's really nice to hear. So thank you for sharing.
My pleasure. It's just kind of to help myself and maybe help somebody else. Mm. Yeah. But it's when I've been clean about 16 years now, and
that's great.
The last 16 years I've had to grow a lot into my normal age, and it's been a lot, but I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
John, the last time I saw you, I was going to say this when you first popped on the show today, but the last time I saw you was Saturday Night Live when I hosted in 2001 at the after party. You came, everybody was partying, and you walked in and pulled your pants down and walked all the way across the entire room, and everybody was dying laughing. I was like, is that John Goodman with his pants down?
I don't remember that.
That's longer than 16 years ago.
Yeah,
And I'm cursed with a bad memory like that. I will remember stuff like that, but this one,
yeah. No, believe me,
No
the
idea.
300 people that were there remember it.
Oh my God.
oh,
It was
See,
great.
so you're gonna.
You were so
there's-
good on that show too.
There's going to be a lot of stuff missing from your autobiography because of your
don't know.
inability to recall
Yeah.
some of the stuff. I got the
like,
same
I
problem.
get to pad it with blank pages. Draw your own conclusions. And Cliffy the Clown.
I remember seeing you on SNL. It was, I think, Amy, my ex-wife's first year on the show, and you hosted. And I just stayed very far away. I remember seeing you at the after party, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I hit it off with her from jump.
Yeah.
It just, she and Seth wrote a bit, and we did it. I thought it was a brilliant bit. But I just, I really dug her.
Yeah, she's cool.
It made me feel welcome.
Well, and you were so good. You had such a facility for that. You could have been an all-time great cast member for sure.
Yeah, I don't know how to do improv, but
you don't need.
I
to know.
auditioned for it in 1980 when everybody quit, and
You
they
did?
brought the new cast on.
No
Did
way.
you really?
Yeah, you know who got it? Lori Metcalf.
Oh,
You
wow.
got your spot.
But she was, I don't think she would ever went on air. I don't know what happened, but she was one of the people they picked.
Oh, wow.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh, it was horrible. It was open calls, and they had guys walking around in Blues Brothers costumes, like by the score. It was a hideous dream.
No way.
A desperation, flop sweat.
Oh, fuck, man.
So would that have been a job that you would have really, really loved, being a part of that cast?
That used to be my favorite thing to do every year.
Yeah, I'll bet.
I'd get so goddamn scared and just hit the door and walk onto the floor. It was great, man.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of the National Lampoon when I was in college. And when I saw a lot of the writing staff from Saturday Night Live, I was really intrigued.
Yeah.
And it was a hit to me. I remember parties used to stop when it had come on, and
Yeah,
Right,
people
sure.
would watch television.
For sure.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
It was a big deal.
Who were your big kind of idols when you were a kid? When you went to get an acting or comedy or anything? Like, who were you like?
Well, I'm almost ashamed to say Brando, but
Why? That's
Why?
great.
yeah, no, a lot of people my age will say that. He just never seen anything like him.
Yeah.
And I didn't really pay that much attention to movies. I liked them.
What was the thing that was distractingly different about him per the style that was around right then?
He looked like he was making it up.
right.
Uh-huh.
And it's just he hit in 1950, 51. Looked more like a guy, incredibly good-looking guy that walked off the street.
Right. So the style was much more sort of
That's presentational.
broad, presentational back before that, right? It was a much bigger thing.
It's a style.
He and like Montgomery Clift and all those guys, right? Like,
Yeah,
He got more
well,
naturalistic. yeah?
Montgomery Clift was another icebreaker.
he was one of my idols too, even though he's a little before my time. He was one of the guys I loved him. Fucking
Yeah, you're
Place in
pretty
the
old.
Sun.
Well, yeah.
I am pretty old.
Yeah, I think people are sliding. The kids today are kind of sliding away from that stuff that I was raised with. The group theater, everything was based from that, and the Stanislavski, ites, and then the sects that developed among the acting teachers.
Sure.
It seems like people are getting away from that now.
But did you want to get into comedy where you like, okay, I'm going to be, I think that I'm quite adept at comedy. Did you know that? Was that something that you were like?
I was good at comedy in the classroom, and when I thought it was still cute to mug.
Right.
Yeah.
No, if it has to be necessarily really structured comedy play as opposed to like improv, but there are rules there too, and it has its own structure.
Yeah.
And it can be terribly hard, but when it's easy, man, it flies, and there's nothing like it.
Nice.
I have to, John. A lot of the times on this show, I don't
Oh,
know.
I thought Sean was going to say, I have to go, guys. I thought that's what Sean was going to say.
I'm going right now.
No, I have to. Wait a minute.
I am
almost there.
presently going.
Yeah.
It's warm.
No, I have to ask if you have any tragic theater stories like mine falling on the table at the dinner table, only because I love them because they're so shocking to me.
The worst thing that ever happened to me was in, two things happened in this show. I was doing a musical in 1985 on Broadway, and I was doing it for a while.
Which one, do you remember?
Yeah, Big River. And I was supposed to come out and surprise my son, Huckleberry Finn. And before, I was standing behind this flat waiting to go on, and I couldn't remember my first line. And I panicked.
Oh, God.
And I panicked, and it just wouldn't come. And the cue was there, and I was going to step out and say, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry. I can't." And the line popped into my head. But that happened for 4 nights straight.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, did the line pop in your head once you stepped onto stage
Yeah.
or before
yeah.
you
As soon as
did?
I opened my mouth.
Isn't that amazing how
Oh,
that
God.
works?
Isn't it amazing how that happens?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's wild.
It's right there, but I don't know why it happened. And the second was my son was supposed to hit me Huck Finn was supposed to hit me in the jaw with a stool, a 3-legged stool. And one night I forgot to put my hand up and throw my head back, and I caught it. And it drove my jaw back into my head. It knocked me out, and I got up and finished the show. And
Oh, really?
No, I finished my scene, and then I had to go down the street to the hospital.
No way.
Wow. You didn't have a broken jaw, did you?
No,
No.
but it was touch and go for about 5 days there when I didn't show up.
Understudy started getting stretched out.
Yeah, so let him have it for a while.
Yeah, the performances after, you just took like 10 feet, a step 10 feet away, so it was really far away from you. No, but I understand that thing about the line. I was doing Hairspray live on NBC. This is like 5 years ago, 8 years ago, I remember. And it's live in front of the whole country, and I'm playing Mr. Pinky or something like that. And it's that sensation, and I rehearsed, and it's I'm behind the door. It's live in front of the country, and it's a big deal. And I open the doors, and I had the sensation, I think it was Marty Short and Harvey Fierstein or something like that. And I said in my head, am I supposed to be here right now?
Oh my God.
I think I may have entered too early, all in the span of half of a second. And so...
you could put a whole dictionary in that half a second.
Totally. So I'm sitting there, and I turned to him, and I mouthed the first line instead of singing it, and it looks like the sound was cut out. And so I was...
That's perfect. We had a technical glitch at the top of my number.
What a fucking disaster.
It was a disaster. It was the panic inside was so unbelievable that then I started singing the second line. It was just awful. It was awful.
God, I can't wait
How
to
did
see
how did it turn out?
We also had I think the first or second preview of the front page did about 5 or 6 years ago, and there were guys that came in, sat in the front row, put their drinks on the stage, and their feet up there, and then one guy got up and started going, "I love you, John Goodman. I love you, John Goodman. I love." And I go, "I'll just not say anything." Please make. And he got up. He walked out of the theater.
Just drunk.
That was a little frightening.
No kidding.
There was two girls who came. I did this show called An Act of God, and there was these 2 girls that were bombed out of the...
No, I don't think so. This time,
Yeah,
no.
no, I saw it. I saw it at the Amundsen.
Oh, that's right. They were bombed out of their minds. And from the second I walked out, they were screaming like, "Oh my God, I love you," in front of everybody. Everybody's quiet except these 2. Yeah, exactly. Screaming. And so I was like, they're not only drunk, I think they're on like drugs or something. So, and I think I've told this story on the show before, but they were so gone. I had in my head, while I'm talking in my head, I'm like, I think I have to stop the show. And so I go, "Excuse me a second." I walked off stage, this is on Broadway, told the stage manager, "You got to get the 2 girls out of there. They're they're not moving. They're clapping and laughing at every word. And
Wait, wasn't this the one-man show?
yes, it's a one-man show.
So you
I
walked off the
Walked
stage,
off stage. I
left
said, excuse me,
stage
one moment.
empty.
Left stage. Left the stage empty. The security guards came down, removed them. The whole audience clapped. I walked on and I said, and that's the power of God. Because I was playing God. Right. Yeah. And I just kept going.
Oh, that's
but it's
pretty
awful
good.
when people just don't know how to behave in the theaters. It's the moral of the story.
It's getting worse too, isn't it?
It is getting worse.
It is getting worse.
Oh man, John Goodman, we have taken up way too much of your time, man.
Yes.
Just honestly, from afar, from very afar, just been such an admirer and just a complete fan of yours, man.
I am. I'm a huge fan of you guys as well. It's great, man. Okay. I'm gonna cut it short there, but thank you. It's.
I really, really appreciate
was
you
terrified.
hanging out with us for an hour.
I was terrified at the beginning of this.
Oh man,
Really?
You guys are so good.
Again, that just makes us feel incredible that we're even on your radar, let alone, So
Yeah.
thank you.
Ding dongs,
Ding dongs with a
Jason's
Wi-Fi connection.
Jason's in New York with a Wi-Fi connection in a rented apartment. He's just starting a job. Sean's in
Baskin
Hancock
Robbins.
Park, facing away from his TV. I can hear somebody vacuuming above me. I'm like, what? This is a joke. We're a bunch of clowns.
So thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
The great John Goodman. Thank you, my friend. What an honor.
Yeah.
Thank you for.
Thank you, pal.
Thanks for the invite, man. It's been wonderful. Anytime. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, pal.
That was
The
fantastic.
best.
Thank you,
The
John,
best.
very much.
Adios.
That was John Goodman.
That's
That
John
was
Goodman.
great.
The
One of
great,
the greatest.
the gold standard, as I
The
said.
gold standard, and maybe the best, most classical name in the history of all names.
Yeah.
I wonder what is his middle name? Is it equally classic and
look it
American, like a Frank or something like that? John Frank Goodman, something like that.
Stephen, actually. I think it's
Yeah,
Stephen.
there you go. That works.
Is it really? John Stephen
Will-
Goodman.
That was a fantastic get there, Will. I set
know,
myself
I
up
know.
for that and got a real beat down.
He's just.
How about he's killing it on the Connors too? Isn't the Connors still
It's
like
sort of-
running? Like,
we didn't even get a chance. I want to get to the. So he does the Roseanne.
He's
right?
doing
They
two
do it for
television
like
series
12.
right
They
now.
do it like 12 years. Roseanne's like 263 episodes or something, right? And then he goes, and now they've done almost 100 episodes of the Connors.
unbelievable.
Yeah. And in that time, he's made like 10 movies with the Coen Brothers, amongst others, and he's just been in, like, the guy's just done it all. I'm not going to cry. I'm sorry. I just had a little bit of gas.
It's just gas, America.
Yeah, but like to be him and to sustain all that through all, like, I don't know, whatever. It just means you're great.
Yeah, he's just got it.
He is great, and he has been great for his whole career, and
Yeah.
has stayed employed his whole
I
career.
guarantee you this. I bet you if you go back and you find some of those early commercials, you watch them and you're like, this guy's great.
Absolutely. By the way, I have seen those early commercials when he's
you?
really young. Like I think it was like a burger commercial or something, and you're like, oh yeah, that guy's great.
And he's great, right?
But Revenge of the Nerds was like only like one of the, the first 4 or 5 things he did. It was like, and he was like, you watch that movie and you go, oh, you feel like that guy had been around forever.
Exactly.
him
He
again.
feels iconic. He feels iconic, and it's one of his first films.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's John
Yeah.
Goodman. That's
I don't
the
know why I
great-
remember the one line from Roseanne. I don't know why I remember this. They were on vacation and they got in an argument and they were like in the Bahamas or something.
Yeah.
And Roseanne goes, you know what, Dan? We should have gone on separate vacations. I go to the Bahamas and you go to hell. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, I can't believe they just said that. I was so young. I was like, I can't believe they said that on TV.
That's a great line. That was produced by the great Tom Werner.
I know.
And produced
Tom
by
Werner.
the great, and the Connors still produced by the great Tom Werner, our friend and
I love that Tom Werner.
chairman of Liverpool Football Club. And
Yeah.
And a pretty strong 8 handicap, maybe, right?
is he? I'm trying to think.
He's a good golfer. He's not to be
I
underestimated.
wanted to say happy birthday to our buddy Billy Hogan over there at Liverpool Football Club. I think we missed it, but
Did you want to
they're
sing
big
to him
fans.
right now? Because Sean and I'd love to sign off first, if that's okay.
Oh, before I do it?
If you're going to be singing. Yeah. Just before you start singing.
But I always do like a classic. It's sort of like an homage to Marilyn Monroe. I always do that real classic.
Yeah, no, don't lift up your sweatpants for him.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think up a buy.
Oh,
Let me see if I got one.
Are we supposed to? You know what? Here's what I'd like, and it was I got two things. One, the first one was confirmed or resuggested by the great Justin Theroux earlier today. We need to have some live questions from the fans, or
Yes,
at least
I
read a
actually would love
question
that.
online.
we are gonna maybe do something like that.
I would
But
love
go
that.
ahead.
I would
it's
like
time.
also in that same folder some suggestions for buys from our listeners. I'm sure they would come up with these like, why don't they ever use this word?
First of all,
or
I
that?
do have a buy that I was getting to, but I want to say two things about. I think that you're right, JB. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I would
But
love that.
but I will also say this: we are not taking fucking creative suggestions
from
from
fucking
Theroux.
Justin Theroux.
Fucking
Exactly. No, you know what? You're right.
So
This
fucking
guy,
keep him.
this son
Every
of a
time I see him, he
bitch.
says the same. You know what you guys ought to do? I'm like, shut the
fucking-
fuck up.
Yeah, guess what,
I didn't tell you how to
Justin?
cut your
How about
sleeves
this?
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck you, in through the nose, out through the mouth.
Yeah, fuck you, Theroux. You fucking fuck.
Bye.
On three, fuck you, Theroux. Are you ready? One,
Yeah.
2, 3.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Theroux. Anyway, guys, I did get some new bye focals. That's true. I did get some. I'm really sad. Bye.
Congrats.
SmartLess.
SmartLess is 100% organic and artisanally handcrafted by Michael Grant Terry, Rob Armjarv, and Bennett Barbaco.
SmartLess.